Coker, you just heard testimony from Ms. Camp, and her organization, the National Abortion Federation, recently issued a report that labels crisis pregnancy centers as, quote, fake clinics use deceptive practices to dissuade people from seeking abortions, unquote. The organization claims that pregnancy resource centers such as yours lie and trick patients and force them to carry unwanted pregnancies to term. How do you respond to the provocative claim by Ms. Camp's organization?
I would say that that's ridiculous. We do not lie to women. We are very clear about the services we provide and what we don't provide. We have 4 registered nurses on staff. We have professional licensed staff. We are also a licensed adoption agency. We have 8 social workers on staff, and we provide excellent quality health care for women, children, and their families. As a matter of fact, I think it's quite ironic that we are called fake clinics when the abortion clinics themselves in our area do not believe that. We receive referrals from abortion clinics in our area for health services. They refer their patients to us for health services. So why would they do that if we are truly a fake clinic? So I just think it's ridiculous. It's a false narrative that's been created. Any provider, any pregnancy center that provides medical services has licensed registered nurses on staff who are providing those services. They are absolutely bound by their medical license.
I agree with you 100%, and in my law practice many years ago, I represented a number of pregnancy resource centers in my state and others, and I never knew one of them to force any woman to carry a pregnancy to term and give birth. Have you ever forced anyone to carry a pregnancy to term?
We have not, ever.
Despite the valiant efforts of pregnancy resource centers under the Biden administration, as we've noted, the Justice Department has selectively enforced the FACE Act in a manner that caters to the radical pro-abortion movement and fails to adequately protect facilities like yours. After the leak of the Dobbs opinion and overturning of Roe, what kind of threats and violence were directed at you and your pregnancy resource centers? I know you've addressed a little bit of this, but how did the violence and the damage impact the ability of organizations like yours to offer their services?
Sure. So again, we're the 5th center in Minnesota. I'm very well connected with the other pregnancy center directors in our area as well as across the country. And all of the centers that I know are having to increase security, to purchase security cameras, to just take extra cautious measures with everything that we do. For us, our facility that was damaged, the windows are still boarded up because one of the things that we found important is to purchase intrusion-resistant film. And thank God that we had that, because otherwise they would have gotten into our building and they would have done a lot more damage than what was done. And so that's very costly for our building in particular. It was $60,000 to add the film. So in order to fix our windows, not only did we have to order the windows, but we have to have the timing correct to apply the film as well. So every center that I know I have been connecting with, I'm like, you need to get this film on your windows or do bullet-resistant, windows, but it's a real threat.
I know that organizations like yours operate on a very thin margin. You're a nonprofit. You have to raise the funds that you use to serve women, and $60,000 could go a long way in helping women in crisis pregnancies. To your knowledge, have the perpetrators that damaged your pregnancy resource centers been prosecuted under the FACE Act or otherwise held accountable?
No, they have not. We have been in touch with the FBI, but there have been no arrests. Nobody has been identified to my knowledge.
Yeah, and I want to point out, because it's been mentioned here this morning, the FBI did absolutely nothing with regard to these more than 100 documented attacks on pregnancy resource centers all the way through until the Republican majority took the House again. We passed a resolution that I authored on the floor, I guess it was in early February, and 6 days after that is when the FBI magically came to this conclusion that they might need to pay attention to some of this, and they offered this supposed reward for information leading to the arrest or prosecution of people involved. But it took them a long, long time to pay attention to that, and it took a resolution of the House of Representatives to force the action. What would you like to see from the Justice Department to make pregnancy resource centers feel safe?
Well, I think the same thing we all want, right? We all want to feel like we can go to work and be safe and that our patients are protected. The same is true for all of us, no matter what side of the aisle you are on. And I think if people are breaking the law and damaging buildings and threatening your safety, they should be prosecuted.
Thank you very much, and I am out of time. Yield back, and the chair recognizes